Hi guys, it's Colton Lindsay here with Winning the Inner Game with another winning series interview. I'm super excited for you guys today. We've got an awesome agent out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I want to let you guys know, hey, this is going to be sponsored by Fearless Agent. You know I'm their #1 fan. And also, if you're not using Mojo Sales Dialer, you definitely should be. How would you like to grow your business exponentially? What would it feel like to be able to sign 15 listing contracts a week, or I'm sorry, a month, or even better, what if you had a minimum commission that you charged because your listings were in a smaller price point? Well, today you're going to hear a little bit about that. I'm your host, Colton Lindsay, with the Winning Series Interviews. Check out my website at Winning the Inner Game. Make sure to subscribe to my email list. Also, for you guys that have been asking for a podcast, it is now on iTunes and it will be on Stitcher soon. Want to say thanks for watching the show. It's because of you guys we're able to do these interviews and hook up with some really powerful agents and learn what's going on across the country in different marketplaces. So congratulations for that. So want to introduce you to an awesome agent today, Jason. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself? And just so you guys know, this guy is averaging 15 signed listing contracts per month right now and averaging 200 contracts per week. So Jason, tell us your name, where you're from, and how people can get in contact with you.
Oh man, my name's Jason Morris. I'm here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So real estate, pretty much the area is called the Grand Strand. Get in touch with me. Actually, my website, jasonmorrishomes.com, is probably the easiest way, and has my phone number and everything on there. But yes, when you first said I was getting 15 a week, I was going, oh man, that's tough. But typically, I've been getting around 15 a month, and some months a little more, some a little less, but I've been averaging about 15 a month for a while now. I went through a lot of changes in the business. I was telling you, I've been in the business about 12 years. When I first started, I was a Mike Ferry. I got into Mike Ferry and had a Mike Ferry coach and all that stuff. And what I quickly learned in our market about Mike Ferry was that, man, a lot of agents are coached by Mike Ferry. And here there was so many agents being coached by him that I felt like when I'd call a for sale by owner expired, sometimes they would know the Mike Ferry scripts better than I would. So I went through several different coaches and went back and forth with Mike Ferry and stuff several times. And my business actually changed a few years ago. I was very buyer heavy. Market was starting to pick up a little bit in our area.
When was this that you were buyer heavy?
This was like 2008, 2009. I started working on websites quite a bit, built a tremendous internet presence, and kind of got away from making calls and getting listings like we should be doing. And probably about 3-4 years ago, I just got burnout with buyers agents. I got burnout with I was generating about 30 to 40 buyer leads a day in the Myrtle Beach market, and it was just if I wasn't on the phone with a buyer or dealing with a buyer's agent I was trying to manage, I was writing content for a website and I tried to figure out Google. So it was like a 24-hour a day job. And I guess it's been about 3 years ago, I got really burnt out on it. I started really going back to just the basic stuff, getting out there prospecting. I really dumbed down a lot of my systems and made things a lot easier than what I was doing. And really I don't have any buyer's agents right now. I'm actually in the process of looking for one, but or looking for one that's dedicated to me and my business. But
let's kind of back up a little bit. What were you doing before you got into real estate, and what year did you first get into real estate?
I first got licensed in 2001, 2002. I didn't start full time until about 2003, 2004. I was in college before I started doing real estate.
Awesome. What were you studying in college?
Integrated marketing communications at Winthrop University.
And so how old were you when you got into the real estate business? You got licensed?
When I first got licensed, I was 21.
Oh wow, I was 21 when I got into the business. Yeah. A lot of customers that work with Fearless Agent, I know Gary Zaldana, he's like 20 years old. And I mean, that's like the prime time to be getting in this business, to get beat up early on. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, yeah, you learn so much, and you learn, you grow a thick skin quickly. But yeah, it's kind of yeah. I had a lot of family that were in the real estate, construction related businesses, development business, and I graduated college. I never got a job. I just started selling real estate.
So you got straight into real estate, and what was the first thing you did once you got into it and you went full time?
First thing I did when I went full time was I built a website, and back then and at that time it wasn't like it is now. Websites were expensive, or you had to figure it out yourself. There wasn't anything like WordPress that made things easy. So I started building a website and looking for buyer leads, and just and pretty much just kind of beating the bushes and knocking on doors.
So first
And
year in real estate, how many transactions did you do?
man, my very first year, well, very first full year,
Full
I
year.
think I
That's
did about, I ended up doing about 35, 40 transactions, I think.
And what would you say was the number one contributor to do 35, 40 deals that first year?
It was really learning how to prospect, learning how to talk to expired listings and for sale by owners. And I mean, back then I looked like I was 12 too, so it was a bit more challenging for me.
They're like, you still live in your parents' basement, Jason. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I didn't even when I first started, I had a cell phone, and for me to make a call, I'd have to plug it in because I never used it. It was always dead. People needed me, they had to call me at the office. And but yeah, when I started prospecting, that was the big turning point for me.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've only been in the business 10 years and got in 2005. And just to see the technology change in the last decade, I mean, back then I barely had a cell phone that I couldn't even save contacts in it, I don't think, if I remember correctly. Maybe I could, and I played Snake on it. That's probably what phone I had. And then we fax stuff. Remember fax machines? Like those were really, really common. And
Yeah, you never emailed anything. I had the cheap fax machine at home with a roll of ink, and I mean, yeah, nobody emailed contracts, DocuSign, and stuff like that. Dot loop, that stuff didn't exist back then. I mean, Boomtown was 7 or 8 years away, probably.
oh yeah, that was a whole nother world. So first year, 35 to 40 transactions. What's the first thing, the number one thing you learn after getting through that first full year in the business?
Um, Real estate sucks. It sucks sometimes. It's it's not a friendly business. You have to plan, you have to set goals and write them down, and you have to have a daily. You have to treat it like a job. You have to have a daily to-do list, a daily action plan.
So an ideal schedule. When you say it sucks, is that just because you didn't have that, or is it just because of some of the crap that comes along with being an
Oh
agent?
man, well, you didn't know that I didn't know back then that you drive a buyer around for 3 days and then you realize they're not qualified at all. They've got a 500 credit score. I didn't realize sometimes that for sale by owners, they don't technically want you to sell their house for them sometimes. So I had a learning curve, for sure. I mean, it really, I mean, back then in our market, things started picking up, I guess, in 2005. The market started really just taking off. But and then basically for a couple of years, I think we were more or less order takers than we were real estate agent salespeople.
Yeah, I mean, for that time frame, I didn't know what I was doing, and it seems like if you could just get in front of deals, if you could just slap yourself on a contract, you were going to have it. I mean, shoot, I remember people buying houses in 5 and 6 with like a 550 credit score, stated. I mean, it's like, what the freak was going? And I had no clue. I just thought that was normal. I thought
Yeah,
everyone could do it.
yeah, man, it was a great time. We should have saved our money.
I've got a funny story because my first listing appointment ever, I was Spanish speaking, and I don't speak Spanish. I speak Portuguese, right? So I set an appointment, and I met with them. I said, "Hey, let's get it on the market for $75,000," and they told me they owe like 110,000 on it. I'm like, "What do you mean you owe 110,000?" I did not even know there were mortgages on houses back then. Can you believe that?
Oh, that's
Oh my,
funny. That's
yeah, it's
that's great.
crazy. That was my first listing experience.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I want to talk to what took you from going from 35 to 40 deals a year to 200, and what was the time frame that happened? Because that didn't happen overnight, I imagine, right?
No, it didn't. The big thing for me was when I started really religiously prospecting. When I got that, I guess I got built the mindset to say, hey, between this time and this time, I'm going to make calls, and these are the people I'm going to call. Because before I would just, I knew I needed to call expireds. I knew I needed to call for sale by owners. I knew that, I needed to talk to people, but I would just kind of go, hey, I'll get to it when I get to it today. So I was busy just doing busy work a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
So once I started going, okay, I'm going to start making calls at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to call till 10, or I'm going to call till 11, uninterrupted. That's when my whole business changed.
So what do you tell us about that uninterrupted? What does that look like? So before, when you were interrupted, because you knew you had to make calls and back then Facebook did not exist. Text message was very limited, right?
Yeah.
How was the non-focus to the focus? What did it look like from the beginning to the change?
Non-focus, I mean, you get to the office, and if an attorney called you or a buyer called you, you ran out the door and did whatever they wanted, and everything seemed like such an emergency. Then I learned that there's really no emergencies in real estate, and if you have one, I'm really not the person you need to call. But once I got focused, and once I started, the first thing I did was I changed my voicemail. And my voicemail still says this today. It just says, hey, this is Jason Morris with Better Homes and Gardens. I'll be in appointments today until 11 a.m. if you reach this message. And it says that you can text me or email me, but I truly don't respond to text but until after 11, unless it is truly an emergency or from specific people within my office. But once I started saying, hey, I'm going to prospect until 11 a.m. And for me, I've used Mojo Dialer and I've used a lot of stuff, but I like to set a number of contacts and a number of dials, and I like to track those numbers. And once I started saying, hey, I'm going to make X number of calls a day, and I'm going to make it within this time frame, it really changed the way I done business. I mean, I was using two phones at a time, dialing on one while I'm letting the other one ring. So that way I can get through my calls quicker. But
So I want to hold you right there, right? So you made some very powerful points. Number one is that voice message. That's so powerful, and if you guys aren't doing it, freaking get that on your voicemail immediately. But what does that do? What expectation have you noticed that sets for the customers or people calling you?
Oh yeah, they don't call you like we've all had those clients that call you 10 times in a row and they're expecting you to answer eventually. Those clients won't call you 10 times in a row. They might go ahead and send you an email, but they're not expecting you to contact them back until after 11 o'clock. And once you have that control over that time, then I mean, literally your whole life changes, not just your business, your life does.
Oh yeah, I mean it sets the expectation of, hey, yes, you can expect a call back from me. You've got to put on your calendar you're going to call them back and return those phone calls, but it will minimize the calls that you do get. And a lot of people have been on my case about this for years, and by people I mean real estate agents, right? I actually never answer my phone. I mean, it's very, very rare that I will answer my phone unless I like maybe recognize it. And a lot of time I just have it go straight to voicemail because you only have so much focus, right, Jason? And if you're focused on prospecting, if you're focused on creating opportunity, and part of that's divided to reaction mode, I mean,
Yeah.
it smashes you.
Yeah.
Are you in? What are some different distractions that today that are maybe popping up? Because it's changed from then. It's
Man.
not. I mean, there's so many more ways to communicate.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, I get Facebook messages from the most random people. You went to high school with them and hadn't talked to them in 10 years. You got emails from people. You got everybody texts nowadays. I mean, that's one of the biggest things I've noticed in the business. 10 years ago, nobody texted. Today, I've done entire transactions and never talked to the other agent on the phone, done it all through text, which is great. I really like that. But I have a lot of agents.
Let's say that's great as a listing agent, right?
Yes, as
That
a
is
listing
not
agent, that's
that is not
fantastic.
great as a buyer's agent, especially in a low inventory market. Let's be clear on that.
Yeah, that's right, for sure. It's only great for the listing agent, but yeah, I mean, I mean, once you control that schedule, you control everything.
So 2 points. Number one is you got committed to prospecting. And
Yes.
number two is you mastered your schedule. And that's two of the things that we really pass with Fearless Agent is master your skills, master your schedule. I mean, you can
Oh
do
yeah.
that. Oh, it's incredible. That's awesome. So 2015, what did your numbers look like in 2014?
2013, 14, I didn't really do as many transactions as what I'm doing in 2015. I'd done a lot of buyer stuff. I had a lot of life changes. I'd really slowed down a lot in 2013, 2014. Um, just personal issues. It made it hard to really go and prospect every day and deal with just the I guess the stresses and stuff with the business. So
So was it a little bit of mindset? Your attention, your energy was drawn somewhere else?
oh yeah, I had several deaths in my family. I was going through a divorce. And when you're doing that, you have those distractions, man, it is definitely mindset. It's mindset. It's you're just thinking about other things when you're prospecting, and you feel like other things are more important. So really last year I probably done about 30, 35 deals. This year I probably closed around 80.
So
And
you're at August, or we're September 4th, and you're at about 80 closed transactions.
well, I should do about 80 total for the
Oh,
year.
80 for the year. Okay. What are you year to date?
Year to date, man, honestly, I don't know. I think I'm around 52, 54 transactions, somewhere in there.
That's awesome. So I want to pause. If for you guys that are watching live on the Google Hangout, I have opened up the question bar. Start putting some questions in now. Things that are popping up. Jason's talking about, and this is probably one of my favorite interviews because it is to the basics: prospect, schedule, mindset, right? So start popping up some questions on there, guys. We'll get to that here in a little bit. So 2015, what changed? What did you get more in the game, or what was the difference here?
Yeah, that's really what I did. At the end of 2014, I said, you know what, I want to do more. Those little problems and issues that I was having in life and stuff were gone, and they, kind of been dealt with. And so this year, I said, hey, I'd like to do 75 transactions. So I sat down and made myself a schedule. I started working on and updating my pre-appointment package. I started just updating everything just to make sure everything was sharp. My whole system was. And I got really, really focused on prospecting again and being extremely prepared for my appointments.
So what did you have to do to make that change to get that laser focus?
Really, it was just my schedule was the biggest thing. My schedule was just the prospecting schedule.
So you got clear on what you were going to do. You got clear on your intentions.
That's right.
What are you doing to get? How are you getting clear on the intention? Like a lot of people talk about, oh yeah, I got clear. I got some clarity. Give us some tools, some tasks that you can do to actually get clarity. What are you doing?
For me, I like to read. I'm a big reader, and I feel like, when you read about other people and people that have been successful, and that really helps me a lot. But you set goals and you actually write those goals down. For me, I mean, I like to reward myself. I feel like, not only do you have the goal, but you have the reward. So it's kind of reinforces everything and reinforces the behavior.
So you're writing it down, and so for example, you came up first year, I'm going to hit 75 units. There's obviously a reward at the end of that for you, I'd imagine. Have you set a goal for you? What do you get if you hit that unit?
Well, I'm really I'm kind of ahead on some things like income that I wanted for this year. So I've been looking at cars this week. So I've been looking at cars. I think I want a new car. I think that's going to be what the thing is. I mean, we went on several several great trips and stuff this year, and have some other stuff planned at the beginning of the year. And yeah, so that's
what do you got on
kind of my big
what do you got
thing.
on the lineup for a new car? What are you eyeballing?
I was looking at BMWs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've had some nice cars before, and I had a Cadillac before, and I've been thinking of BMW now. I've never had one, and I like the way they look, Colton.
Awesome. See, and that's what's so beautiful about this business and life in general is there are infinite possibilities. There's no rhyme or reason. It's like, okay, what gets you excited? What gets you passionate and just, full of energy to go to work? And so if you can write those goals down, once you write them down, what do you do with them at that point? You've written them down. What
You
happens?
review them. You review them, and you track everything you're doing. You track how many listings
And
you're taking a
track.
week. Yeah.
So how are you tracking your numbers? Your listings taken. I know you mentioned your contacts or dials. How are you tracking that stuff?
Well, what I'm doing, because I manually dial, I'm not using Mojo Dialer, because a lot of the stuff I'm calling is for sale by owners and older expireds. But I actually use a tracking sheet, and then I transfer it to an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
So yeah, when I'm making calls, usually I don't have my computer on in front of me most of the time. If I do, it's only pulled up our MLS, so I can just look up something real quick while I'm on the phone with people.
Okay.
But I try to limit my computer usage, because next thing you know, you're on Facebook or you're on Pinterest, and you lost 30 minutes on something, watching a dog dance video.
Yeah, you're on YouTube. Next thing you know, you learn about how how ducks mating season works, right? It's like, what
Yeah,
the?
I mean, you can waste, before you know it, your whole morning's gone. So I like the just pen and paper tracking system, just because it limits your computer usage.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And want to just put a note in there, guys. Tracking for me is one of the things that really took me from a $50,000 a year business to 200K plus a year business, and onwards to the 400K a year business. If you guys are interested, you've seen some of my videos. I now have a tracking sheet that I offer along with AJ Midas. So if you guys want that, you're interested in that, send me an email at colton@winningtheinnergame.com. Cost on that is $197, one-time fee. You can use it forever. So awesome, man. I love everything that you're bringing to the table today. So books, I want to go back to that, because that's, to me, is the best part. You get up, own your morning. What books are you reading right now, and what books do you recommend?
Man, there's so many great ones. If you're looking for something real estate related, I like a lot of the older Donald Trump books. I know he's been in the news for some reason a lot lately.
Yeah,
And
he
then,
has.
one of the books that I'm actually going through and I'm rereading right now is there's one that Lou Holtz wrote, and it's about, I can't think of the name of it, but it's about his Notre Dame winning season, and it's from I believe 1988. But the thing in it that's so amazing is Lou Holtz would be so prepared for a game that he'd actually write the speech he was going to give after the game. He'd write it before the game, because he already knew what everybody's problems were going to be. He knew what things they were going to be weak on, what things other teams were going to be strong on, and just that preparedness that he had is just unbelievable. So I've been kind of rereading that, and just trying to figure out how to apply more of that to my life and my business, and just what I'm doing.
You've kind of brought that up. It's kind of been a reoccurring theme for 2015 is preparation, right?
Preparation, yeah.
And I know that's one of the P's that we teach. So why do you think that is? What does preparation do?
I mean, in our market at least, I think it's like this in every market. I know I talked to William May a good bit about his market and things he's doing, and I talked to a lot of other real estate agents. But what I noticed is a lot of agents who go on a listing appointment, they show up and they don't have anything, or they have a presentation that's boring and it's an hour long. I send a pre-appointment package. I send it the day before. They get it through email. I ask them to look at it. I'll even call and follow up with them to make sure they received it. I'll go ahead and send the paperwork. I do a net sheet to show them exactly what they're going to put in their pocket at different sales intervals. And when I show up, I'm prepared with knowledge about the actual comparables, because I do when I'm pulling a CMA, I do it with the community, but then I do like a 1 and a 2 mile radius, so we truly see what their house is competing against. Because our market, I think most of them in the country, they're moving up, so we're not really able to price on solds. Or if you're pricing on solds, you're pricing behind the market. If you're pricing based on the active available inventory and what their home's going to be competing with on the market today, is how you're going to get your client the most money, you're going to get the most commission, and their house is going to get sold the quickest. So I just try to make sure I have all that information when I show up, because I really only like to go to people's house one time. I like to take the pictures, sign the paperwork, stick my sign out all at the same time.
Makes it
And
easier. How
oh
much
yeah.
confidence does that give you going into the presentation, knowing you have all of that information?
Oh man. Yeah, you're extremely confident. I mean, you're going to be able to answer all their questions. If the guy down the street sold for $150,000, you're going to be able to show it to him. And typically when I leave a listing appointment, everybody feels good about where we've priced it. The sellers had all their questions answered. I mean, everything is just, I don't really leave any holes. I joke and tell people, I like to think of myself as a doctor. I go in, I have all the information right there for them. I have all the answers to their questions. And then I'm usually there 30 to 40 minutes at most.
So with these people, the confidence that you're portraying, I mean, is there some unspoken language and energy that they can sense that says, hey, you know what, this guy, he's what's up, he knows what's going on? Would you say that's part of it?
Oh, for sure, man. I even completely fill out the listing agreement before I get there. I have it highlighted everywhere they're going to initial and sign. I use a yellow highlighter. I mean, it's just when I go through the paperwork with them, I mean, it's easy. You just go, hey, just initial and sign everywhere that's highlighted yellow. And just
one closing question that you ask when you get to the end, what do you say to have them put their ink on the paper?
So are you ready for me to start working for you?
That's a pretty straightforward question.
When do you want me to start working for you?
I think a lot of agents miss how simple this is. Mine, I love is, any questions? Great, here's the pen. You know what I mean? It's like, let's do it. They might ask a question, I answer the question. Great. Anything else? Okay, here's the pen, right?
Yeah.
And you got to reach across. You got to put the pen in their hand. And if you're having fun with them, sometimes I've done it. Hey, do me a favor, hold the pen, right? Okay, let's just need to sign right here. And you make a joke of it too. People love it. So that's cool. I love that. Going back to pricing, because 2015, you're talking about we got to play the market off the actives, the inventory, right? You can't price it off the solds. And if you are, you're probably leaving money on the table. 2008, 2009, 2010, you couldn't do that, could you? You probably had to be mainly off of the solds, and you probably had to be less than what the solds were, right?
Oh yeah. When the market was going down, it was tough. I did a lot of short sales back then just because they were guaranteed transactions. You knew you're going to be able to price them right. You just had to do a little bit of extra paperwork. And that's kind of how I treated them. I had a full-time negotiator at the time, and I done, gosh, I probably listed 1 to 2 a week. There were short sales back then. It was tough to price property. I mean, you had to really look at the solds. You had to really look at the comparable stuff.
That's what's awesome about Bob's pricing presentation. I remember when I first got into business, I sucked, and I'm still not the best at pricing property, to be honest with you, right? But what's so awesome, you can mess it up and still get it right, because we're going to adjust it in 2 weeks anyways, automatically, right? So it makes it, and in this type of market, it's not as big a concern. But if you're a market like 09 and 10, which, guys, pay attention, we will not be in this market forever, and you cannot always outpace the market. So when that shifts, you've got to be able to be in place to make sure you're pricing them properly. I love that whole fact on how you're doing that. We got a question that popped up that I think it's good on the topic. They asked to maybe see an example of your pre-list package. Jordan Epstein did. I don't know if that's possible, but maybe you can give us an idea what goes into that pre-list that you're sending out.
It's definitely not rocket science. People think I have a lot of secret stuff in there, but really it's a welcome letter. It's a little bio. I take my company as a whole and include them in there. I'm at Better Homes and Gardens, so I include information about the circulation of the magazine, how many households receive it a month. I think it's 1 out of 5 households receive it a month. I include a lot of information about the company itself. I got several different graphics where I include where your property is going to be syndicated to, and I include a little information about social media. Then I have a list of items that I'm going to do for you, and I'd be glad to share it, but I don't have it where I can share it with you today. Maybe I can send it to you, Colton, and you can share it with your list.
Yeah.
My items of things that I do. And literally it's stuff like, I'm going to put a lockbox on your house. I'm going to put a sign out front. I'm going to take pictures. I'm going to put it in my list.
That's what mine says.
It's such basic services that, and you know, I get so many listings because of it, because people say, hey, I talked to another agent and I'm not sure who I want to go with. And I say, oh, well, you know, that's great. You're talking to other agents. Have they given you a marketing package? I've already sent you a marketing package, and I want to make sure you get one from them. That way you can compare apples to apples. And they just get real silent on the phone, and they say, well, they haven't gave me one yet. And you say, well, you know what you need to do? You need to call and request the one, because, you know, I really hope they're not just going to stick a sign out front and hope for the best for you. And man, 9 out of 10, I get the listing over the other agent because they don't have any type marketing package. They don't have anything to give their client, and they're not going to create one.
And what's powerful about that list, because I use what's called the 17-point action plan, right? I put it in my pre-list packet. I show up in the house, and I don't even talk about it while I'm there. I never even bring it up the whole time. I go into my introduction. I go into my probing questions, and I don't even, I used to talk about what I didn't do. I don't even do that anymore. I just go in and then next thing go into pricing and get it signed. And been able to shave a lot of time off my time in there. Plus, I actually keep myself from losing to something stupid. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. I love that. Yeah, shoot that list over to me. I'd love to get it out to everyone.
Yeah, man.
On there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm the same way. I never go through the pre-listing appointment at a listing appointment. I mean, it's just I end up going through the contract and the net sheet and the comparables are the things that I talk about. And I know you, like you said, you had probing questions and you had an introduction. I do the same thing. I have my appointment, I've rehearsed so much, the way that I walk into rooms, the way that I greet them at the door and introduce myself. I'm so prepared. I ask the same questions. It doesn't matter if it's a $50,000 home or a $450,000 home. And it's fantastic when you're that prepared, and your confidence level skyrockets too after you do a few of them.
Oh yeah. Well, and as your confidence level skyrockets, they feel that, right? They feel that energy. Not to mention, you think about a for sale by owner. Initial consultation or contact, boom, one contact. You can either pre-qualify them right on the phone or set a time later that day to qualify them. There could be a second contact. Next is you have the welcome or the confirmation email goes out, third contact. Then you have the pre-list packet, fourth contact. Day of, you call and confirm the appointment, fifth contact. And then when you meet with them, by the time you're meeting with them, you're already at 5 or 6 contacts. They start to feel like they know who you are, right? It's building this subconscious level of relationship with them. Let's go ahead and switch gears, because I want to talk about some things we were talking about before we started live, and that was your average price point, which I was really surprised to hear. Tell us what your average price point is.
Yeah, our price point, I was telling you, I did an inventory matching sheet for our market. It was something I learned from a Mike Ferry coach that I had a few years back. And basically, once you analyze your market, you can figure out exactly where you are. So I think the last one I did was about a year ago, but I figured out that about 76% of our market was under 175,000, and like 50-something% was about 100,000 or less. So a lot of my transactions are right around $100,000. I mean, a lot of them are between 80 and 100,000.
So 80 to 100,000. How do you make money on those deals?
I charge a minimum commission. I mean, I do a lot of deals that are, gosh, I did one a few weeks ago that was, I did a $10,000 deal, Colton. I did it was a double wide mobile home on leased land.
Didn't you have to have a dealership license to sell that one?
In South Carolina, you can do it with a real estate license. And the guy told me what he wanted to put in his pocket when everything was said and done, and we figured it out backwards. I typically charge a $2,500 to $3,000 commission, minimum commission on the listing side plus 3%. In our market, if you don't offer 3% to the buyer side, it's tough to get a lot of showings there.
Sure.
And anyway, I started doing that minimum commission. So this guy sold his house in 2 weeks, and he actually paid me $2,500 to sell his $10,000 home, plus 3%. So I ended up paying $2,800 in commission. So,
which is important for these guys to understand. Don't worry about what they think about the commission. Worry about what they want to accomplish. He had a certain number. He had a certain goal in mind. Focus on what value you can create. And if you focus on the value you're creating, the money just naturally comes, man. Stop worrying about the freaking money. Start worrying about the value that you're creating. I remember one of my first listings was a sign call that came in, and this was when the market was hot in 2006, I think early 2006. And or it was like a floor time call or something. And then an agent didn't want to deal with it because it was only a $45,000 listing. And he gave it to me, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just was like, crap, that's not much money. I'm going to just charge him more. So I went over there, and I charged him 10%, sold it in 4 days for a cash offer, right? So all of a sudden I make $4,500, and it was just cool to understand that, hey, I provide the value. I charge what I'm worth. And you get prepared, you get your skill set on point, you get your schedule mastered, and your value goes up big time. That's awesome.
I mean, nobody complains about a minimum commission either. It's so crazy. Actually, that was something I got from Bob.
Oh, Bob, yeah, awesome.
I had a couple of calls with Bob, and I was talking about our market. And I told him where it was, and he goes, "Well, why don't you charge a minimum?" And it kind of hit me when I hung up the phone. I'm going, "Why am I not charging a minimum?" And so I started doing it that same week.
When did you start doing that? What time of the year when was that?
I started doing that, I think it was January or February of this year.
How much extra money do you think that's made you since then?
Man, I mean, I'm sure I've made probably $20,000-$30,000 more this year just from charging that minimum commission.
So what you're saying is in one coaching call, it made you an extra $20,000 to $30,000 this year.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it has. It's going to keep making me money. I mean, I sold one the other day. I sold it for $47,000. They paid me $3,000 on my side, and they paid the buyer's agent 3%. And the only person that ever gets upset is the buyer's agent sometimes when they see the HUD. But,
that's awesome. Yeah, I love that. So let's go ahead and talk about some mentors. Who's been major mentors, or how important are mentors in your business? And give some feedback to agents on why that's important to have mentors.
As long as you can see how somebody else or how somebody got to where they're at, you can probably copy that and get to the same place, Sometimes I like to think, none of the stuff I'm doing is original. It's all stuff I've copied from somebody or bits and pieces from here and there. When I was a brand new agent, I picked up a realtor magazine that's laying in my office that had the top 30 under 30 that year in it. And I really wasn't sure what to do. So I just went down through that list and I contacted every one of them. And man, surprisingly, a lot of them emailed me back and called me back and spent time on the phone with me. And I done the same thing in our market. I just picked out people that were super successful, and I said, you know what? Either they're going to have me arrested for stalking them, or these people are going to be my friends.
So your environment, you got around people that were doing the business and the type of business you wanted to do.
I did. I started networking with them, and the great thing about today is, like, with Facebook and LinkedIn, man, it's so easy to connect with those people. Back then in 2003, 2004, I mean, I had to really work hard to find their phone number one, or find their email address. And now it's so easy. I talk to people from all over the country all the time, but finding those people and those mentors, I think are big key to success, or they've been a key to my success, and just seeing the way they do things and the way that their business operates.
So you're just all about following that proven model. What's working?
Yeah.
What are the results I want? How can I copy them? How can I duplicate them? I think that's really, I get a lot of customers or coaching clients to get in and they say, hey, Colton, I want to do what you do, which is awesome. You got to realize I didn't do it overnight, right? You got to start at the basics, the fundamentals, and build those up and add creativity as you go. But if you get a solid foundation, I mean, that's powerful. What about coaching? What would you recommend for his agents? Is coaching a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Tell us your thoughts on
Man, I
that.
think coaching is great. One of the things for me over the last 12 years is I would sign a coaching contract, I'd finish it, and I'd take a few months off. And I mean, even right now, I'm kind of I don't have a coaching contract with anybody right now. But one thing that I noticed is I'd plateau, or I would get bored, or I'd get just unmotivated. So then I'd find a new coach, and it really helped you go from like point A to point B really quickly and take your business to the next level. I mean, my last coach was a Mike Ferry coach, and when I was getting back serious about the business and getting started, he was the guy that I needed that accountability. I mean, number one, you're paying a guy to call you every week and say, how many people did you call? How many listings did you take? How many, how many contracts did you get? And I mean, man, that's the biggest thing, because you know how we all are. If we're not looking at what it is and we don't have anybody asking about it, we just won't do it.
Yeah, you've got to surround yourself with people like, I know every week I'm on a mastermind call, right? I know that I'm going to talk with AJ Maida or Brian Casella, and we're going to go over, hey, what did we do this week? And I recommend that if you're not even in a coaching program, get a small accountability group, and that you're talking about your successes. You're talking about what you want to do differently, how you can improve. And awesome, man. So you highly recommend coaching. I love that. Let's go ahead and anything else you want to throw out before I open it up to some questions?
Man, I think that gosh, being a brand new agent, I definitely have a coach. I wish that I would have had one earlier, just to help me get going, help me get set up, help me get my schedule together. Treat the business like it's a real job, and whatever kind of money you make, whether you want to make 50,000 a year or 500,000 a year, a lot of my thought process is, what would I expect for somebody else to be doing for me if I was paying them that much money?
Awesome.
But I think that's about it. But I'm ready for some questions.
So, and just to plug, if you guys are looking for an extremely affordable, high value coaching program, get involved with Fearless Agent. Get into the Fearless Agent movement. I mean, I would not be in the business today. I would not be sharing with you guys today if it weren't what I learned through that system and that program. So, hey, thanks for sharing. Now, here's a question from Jeremy Crit. What are 3 things that I should do my first week of real estate?
Oh man, I think that number one, you need to find an office that's a franchise. Look for the biggest franchise in your market. I think a franchise offers value. I've been both sides of the fence there, non-franchise and franchise. I'd go with somebody that's recognizable nationally, because I guess it's the same reason why we go to McDonald's rather than Joe's Hamburger Shack. We kind of know what to expect, or at least think we know what to expect. That would be number one. Number two, I would look for a coaching program to get into, or some sort of accountability program. I would also look for an office that has agents doing the kind of business that you want to do. There's a lot of offices out there. The biggest agent in the office is doing 2 transactions a month. And, that's not the best place to go and learn. Look for an office. I mean, I was at a big office when I started, and there was a guy that was doing $14, $15 million a year. And man, if he was in the office and he told me he was going somewhere, I was standing at the door going, hey, can I ride with you? Look for an office that has some of those big agents that you can kind of follow around. You can see them in the office. You can see what they're doing and ask questions to them, because most people are generally pretty helpful.
Awesome. Cool. So also Eric Transu, hopefully I didn't mess your name up, Eric. I apologize if I did. He says he thinks the book of Lou Holt, that Lou Holt's Fighting Spirit. Does that sound right?
What was that? You broke
The,
up a little bit.
the Fighting Spirit, the name of that.
That's it.
That sound correct?
Yeah, it's an old
Awesome.
Lou Holtz book, but it's a good one.
I'm going to put that on my list here. The Fighting Spirit. Dude, I am addicted to reading books. I just picked up this new book. I wonder where I said it. It's called, where did I put it? I think it's called Dumbing Us Down. Have you ever heard of that book?
No, I hadn't read that one.
So it's a book written by a teacher in New York. He won New York State Teacher of the Year, and he literally just breaks down the public education system and how it's setting everyone up for failure and to keep a dumbed down society. I just love that book from a teacher, right? Not that teachers in general want to keep us dumb, but the system is set up against you. So education is just so powerful and important right now. Jeremy had a follow-up question. What do you think about Keller Williams?
I was actually at Keller Williams before. I think nationally, I think it's a great company. I think they offer a lot of training. And they've got the whole sponsorship model, but a lot of the stuff they offer is training. I would just look at the office that you're thinking about, go in and meet with them and find an office that fits with what your goals are.
So Keller Williams, the national level, is a great company. The model is awesome. I totally believe that. But what you're saying is make sure that location you're at is following, the environment, the culture that the company has set forth. Is that what you're saying? And that's
what I would do.
Really, really, really important, man. Your environment is so important because you become your surroundings, right? We all know that Earl Nightingale said you become what you think about most of the time. You can also realize that what you thought about is what you've brought about, right? So your life right now is because of where you have been thinking. If you want to get to that next level, that next place in your life, whether it's in business or personal, you've got to be around that environment that allows that. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and Colton, let me say too, I think that applies to not just Keller Williams, but all models, whether it's Century 21 or Coldwell Banker or Better Homes and Gardens. Each office is individually owned, and they each have their different atmosphere. So just pick one that's good.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be at a Keller Williams office where the hot top producer's doing 10 deals a year and everyone's focusing on waiting for the phone to ring. Not to say that happens at Keller Williams, but it could, right?
Yeah,
or you don't want to be at an independent company where they send out, $30,000 a month worth of mailers and they make like a 10% profit on their business, right? You want to be
that's right.
highly profitable, and you want to create a duplicatable system, and you want to have fun doing it. You got to enjoy what you're doing. A follow-up question from Jeremy as well is work at home or from the office?
I do both. I work from home some and I work from the office some, but I feel like my most productive times is when I have a dedicated place in an office to at least do my prospecting. You want to show up. You can start making calls at 8 o'clock. You want to show up like 7:30, 7:45. That way you can get coffee and all that stuff. And having that same place that you're calling from every day, because I'll tell you from my own experience, when I switch up where I'm calling from, it affects my calls. It affects my calls. It affects my mindset. It even affects how comfortable I am delivering the same scripts I've been doing for years.
Yeah. So just to add into that, because I used to work strictly at the office. Now, obviously I make way more money than I did when I first started. I've got a bigger space at my home where I've got an awesome in-house office. So I think the message that Jason wants to paint is be in a place that allows you to perform at the highest level. And usually that is going to be an office where you can be in a space that you just get a feeling of let's go frickin' make it happen. So
that's right. It can't be at your kitchen table.
Yeah, no, with your 3-year-old screaming in the background, you got to shut that off, man.
Yeah, you can't do that.
William May said, dealing with so many transactions, what type of systems you use to keep everything on track? And I love the answer that you're about to give us because it's nothing like you're going to ever expect, guys.
It's kind of interesting. I've had assistants, I've had closing coordinators and everything. And, some of the offices people are at, even my office, they'll do some closing coordinator activities. But for me, the best thing is to have a good team. We're an attorney state, so I've got an attorney here that I use. Their paralegals are fantastic. I've been using them over and over for years, and you know, they handle all the they handle the termite inspection for me. They handle making sure the home inspection is done for me. Having that good attorney partner or business partner, it's fantastic. Having lenders that are competent that you can work with, that return your calls, they process your files. I've got 2 or 3 different lenders I work with that I highly, highly recommend. And man, I don't have to worry about what's going to happen. They follow up with me. Once you find those good partners to use and that good team, it's going to take a lot of those closing activities away from you. Because believe me, when there's a problem, people will call you. I use Google Calendar. I just plug everything into my Google Calendar. I make sure everybody's got a copy of the contract, and then as the listing agent, I just wait. I don't understand some of these agents that hold everybody's hand until you know the buyer's turning the key on the house. You have to let go and let everybody do their job, and it'll free up your time tremendously too.
So when you're talking about a team, you're not talking a lot about like a team that Keller Williams talks about. You're talking about the escrow officer you work with, the attorney you work with, the lender, your affiliates, the people that make the transaction happen.
Your vendors.
Absolutely. And
That's
I
right.
recommend, guys, this idea of giving 2 or 3 options to your clients is freaking retarded. Don't do it. Have a system of people that you know are going to treat that client as good or better than you do, because it represents you, right? So
oh yeah, the attorney's office that I use, they know exactly what to do with my files and how to handle them. The lenders that I recommend, I mean, you know, when you're not representing the buyer, you have no control over who they're going to use. But even in a lot of my listings, I'll have in the agent-to-agent remarks, you know, lender X can finance this property, FHA, or lender call this person for financing. And unbelievably, a lot of agents do that. And they'll use the person you want them to use. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, having that team of vendors and stuff, I mean, man, that frees up my time tremendously.
dude, I just got an idea that I'm going to try now. I have not been doing that on my listings. And I'm thinking, you know, what I remember when I was doing a lot of short sales, we always said must send a pre-approval letter over with X lender, right? What if I just did that on all of my listings, right?
Yeah. You know, there's even some, I'll tell you this, there's even some lenders, I don't have any marketing agreements set up with them, but I've had a couple of lenders actually offer me marketing money to use them as my official lender.
Oh yeah.
Or preferred lender.
I have systems set up like that with the inspectors that I use, with the home warranty company I use. I have a roofing company, and obviously my lender. Now with RESPA violations or RESPA rules, there are a lot of lenders that will violate that. So you got to get creative, and you got to make sure that you're doing within the guidelines. Don't abuse that, but definitely. And I don't think you need to start off with that too. I mean, you get to a point where it's an addition to your business. It's not a requirement to get going.
Rather than getting money from them, it's more important to have a lender that is going to be confident to work with you.
Closing deals, right?
Yeah. They're closing deals, making sure you're getting paid when it sells. That's more important than getting any marketing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. Laura Parker asked, what is the benefit of being a listing agent versus a buyer agent?
Gosh, Laura works with me, so I'm surprised. It's funny, she's the person that asked. But you can have 50 listings and all of them can be shown today. Where if you had 50 buyers, there's no way you could show them all property this week. I mean, we were on a cruise a few months ago, and I actually sold a condo while I was on a cruise ship. And basically paid for the whole trip, but it was because I was a listing agent. The place was still getting shown. You know, no matter what's going on in my life, I'm on vacation, I'm just hanging out or whatever, my houses can still get shown. Where if it was a buyer, you know, it's hard to control your life. It's hard to control your schedule. It's hard to basically do everything, and they're time consuming.
Absolutely. And there's ways when you get to a level. I mean, I use a showing agent. But you know, I definitely focus on the listings. The listings are what can leverage your time. Listings, leverage, and leads. You can generate leads off of those. And really, leads today in today's world are so easy to freaking generate. But yeah, focus on those listings. One more question, and then we're gonna sign off. Cubicle office or pay for a whole private office when you're talking about office space?
I like the private office. I like to be able to shut the door and make calls. If you're in a cubicle office or a big office, you steady have people walking by. You have a person just on the other side of the wall that's making calls. And sometimes if you're in an office that's a heavy prospecting office, it can get kind of loud, even though you got those cubicle soundproof walls or whatever they are. I prefer the office where I can go in, I can shut the door, nobody bothers me, and I can just go to work.
Awesome. Yeah, it kills out those distractions as well. And plus, it actually raises your confidence. I know when I first started on the phones, I'm not like this now, but when I first started, if I knew someone might be listening or kind of watching over my shoulder, right, it was like, it actually kind of like made me feel like, oh man, I hope I don't make a mistake, you know? So I
Yeah, I'm
think
still
being in
like that sometimes. You
yeah,
know?
oh sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
private
you're used to
office.
calling
Sure.
by yourself, and next thing you know, you got somebody sitting beside you listening or in the same room, and man, you start watching what you say, or you don't say things with the confidence or the delivery that you normally do, and or you use the tonality that you normally do with certain questions, and yeah, I like the private office for sure.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you being on. Oh, we got one more question. Do you present for your home? I don't understand the question, William A. Question for me. Do you be present for your home inspection and appraisal for listings, or do you have someone else do that? I never, ever go to an inspection or an appraisal. And in fact, in our marketplace, if you're an appraiser or an inspector, you're an affiliate with the board, and you've got a key to get in there. So it's just scheduled, and they go take care of it. And usually if it's a buyer side, I just have our buyers meet with the inspector over there. And this is why it's so important to have an inspector that you trust and that's solid on your team, because we're going to be doing, 35 deals or whatever, how many buyer deals we do together. We do pre-listing inspections too. So I do about 70 transactions just with that inspector. But it's important that I can trust that I don't need to be there, and he can deliver the message in a way that gets across to where the state of the house is, not tricking them, but doesn't freak them out, sort of thing, right? So yeah, don't waste your time. If it's a low dollar hour activity, either pay someone to go do it or figure out how to leverage a team member to go out. So
It's the
awesome.
same thing I was telling you a second ago. Just let everybody do their job,
Yeah, get people that you can trust and let them do their job,
Yeah,
and you do your job. Everyone's in this to create wins, and that's what it's about. Anything you want to say before we sign off, Jason? Thank you so much for being on this interview. This was one of my favorite ones because it was just so basic, so fundamental. I think more agents need to hear this. So anything you want to
Yeah,
follow up
I
with?
think so too. I think a lot of agents just miss those basic things and miss having that foundation of prospecting and schedule, and just the super basics. But I think that's it, man. I appreciate you having me. I'm a fan of yours and Bob's, and follow the message board on Facebook and everything. So I was excited about you having me here.
Cool, man. Hey, I totally appreciate you coming on here. Also, guys, just some notes. This will soon be on iTunes on my podcast. You can go to iTunes now, and there's 10 podcasts already that you can subscribe to, and you can get all the new ones coming up. I know that a lot of you requested that because you love my awesome YouTube videos, but unfortunately, when you're driving down the car, it makes it difficult. So you guys have it. Soon it'll be on Stitcher as well. This whole winning series interview is sponsored by Fearless Agent Sales. And if you're not a part of the movement, if you want to get a complimentary coaching call with Bob, if you want to find out a little bit more about it, join us on Free Calls on Tuesday. We're also on September 14th. I'm doing, it's called Mission Possible Sales Mastery. It's a free training, 45-minute teleseminar. Ask me how you guys can get registered for that. I'm super excited about that. And also Mojo Sells, a partner I've been with since 2010 that has taken my business to a next level. They've got some awesome things going on right now. I know Bob's working with them to get some training videos going on Mojo. So yeah, I can't say enough about those guys. Thank you, Jason. We'll see you on Facebook. Can't wait to talk to you soon. See you, everybody.
Thanks, Colton.